Hi, my name is Carter. My pronouns are he, him.
I'm Jill. I use they, she pronouns.
My name is Jay Blakely. My pronouns are they, them.
My name is Melanie. My pronouns are she, her.
I'm a lesbian and probably a non-binary person. That's still something I'm navigating my own brain. So, but yeah, the L.
And I am a gay man.
I identify as queer.
I identify as bisexual and non-binary.
I work at Royal University Hospital in Saskatoon in the intensive care unit as a continuing care aide and a unit assist.
And I'm a continuing care aide.
I'm a medical radiation technologist.
And I'm a continuing care assistant.
So I grew up in Davidson, Saskatchewan.
I grew up on a farm just outside of Saskatoon.
I grew up in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Fox Valley, Saskatchewan.
I mean, I didn't really see many gay people growing up in a small town, so it was a very sheltered existence.
I would say growing up, I didn't have a clue that I was queer.
Growing up, I had no frame of reference for what queer meant.
I always was an aggressive ally growing up. Obviously, it makes a little bit more sense now why I was so passionate about that.
I realized that I was queer in my 20s. I was going to university and doing gender studies, and that's when I realized that I was queer.
It was just a very slow progression of ideas into the belief that, well, there is something that's different about me, but I don't know what.
My first kiss was with a girl. We were practicing for when we got to kiss boys.
While I was raised as a boy and grew up as a man and identified publicly as a man and used he, him pronouns, I did that to avoid shame and rejection.
So probably when I was 23, I kind of started thinking that maybe something was different.
I don't know, I knew I was different, but it was a lot of I don't know why and sort of walking on eggshells almost.
I thought I was bi for a really long time, and then I found the lesbian master doc, or Am I a Lesbian master doc online.
I went to a more progressive high school, and in grade 10 had a teacher who introduced bisexuality to us. And I thought, oh my God, that's me. That completely covers everything I'm feeling and experiencing. So I assumed I was bisexual, and the label worked for a very long time. I was still closeted until my late 20s, but that was when I knew I had a label and my life made sense, and that what I wasn't a crime.
And I hate to use the word jealous, but I was always jealous of lesbians growing up. I always thought it was the coolest thing that they got to date women, and I remember thinking about like my friends' boyfriends, thinking like I would be such a much better girlfriend than that.
When I was growing up, I had no concept of anything 2S LGBTQIA. I didn't have any queer role models in my life. I recall very vividly in grade 4, the concept was introduced to us, and we were told that there were 2 sexual orientations. There was straight, which was good, and there was gay, which was bad.
I know the words that had stuck with me for a really long time was it's not a bad thing, it's just their cross to bear.
I mean, I really didn't know how much of a community there was growing up. It was a lot of I knew I was different, and it sort of took a couple years to realize just how much of a community there was and sort of broaden my horizon.
I'm glad that I get to be part of that community now as an adult, and I get to be like that representation for little kids that didn't have it like I did growing up.
In elementary school, having that inkling that, oh God, maybe I'm one of them. There was definitely self-loathing. There was suicidal ideation. There was a lot of depression, self-rejection, and very much a belief that I was sick or that I was ill, that there was something wrong with me, and that it was never going to get better.
Growing up in the closet, however, in the Catholic Church, that obviously did its damage. Got that internalized homophobia for myself for a long time.
Being closeted and queer is like the worst kind of emotional constipation.
I remember being really worried, telling my family that I was queer.
I came out to my little sister first. I just told her that I thought I was bi, and she was like, okay, sounds good.
When I came out, my best friend laughed and said, well, of course you are, because you always thought Oprah was hot.
So I first came out to one of my friends driving them back from a party around age 18, and then probably 3 weeks later I came out to my parents at about 11:45 at night on a Friday.
My older sister, she didn't understand because I had dated men up until that point in my life. And then I came out to my mom after that on a FaceTime call, and that did not go very well. All she said was, what am I supposed to say to that? And then just silence.
I wasn't sure how I was going to do it. But then I had a parent that came out as trans at Christmas time. And so then it was much easier for me to come out. She kind of stole my thunder. And I remember we went to Divas and went dancing after that.
My mother stopped in the middle of walking back upstairs and went, "What?" And they went on with the rest of the things they were doing that night and had a conversation the next morning, and it's been positive since then.
Growing up, I was very close to my little sister. She had been an out lesbian from high school. When it was time for me to come out, she was the person I was going to come out to. And I knew how she was going to react, but I was still terrified. And so I pulled over on our way home and I said, "I'm bisexual." And she said, "I know, I'm not surprised, but that's okay. I still love you."
I had some fear when I first came out. I remember being afraid to hold my girlfriend's hand at the time.
Growing up in a small town and the associated drama with that coming out, and I've always had their full support.
I was lucky enough to feel like I had support. My girlfriend at the time did not, and so I saw how it was for some other people.
I decided it was time to tell Mom. And my sister was very involved and called the family meeting. And Mom said, "Okay, what is it?" And I just spilled it and said, "I'm bi." And she said, "I thought you were going to say you'd done something wrong." And I said, "No, I just like guys and girls. Always been that way. Don't know what to do about it. Hope that's okay." And she said, "Yeah, you're still my kid. I'm still going to love you. This changes nothing." And that was the best reassurance I could have received.
Our relationship was not good for about a year. It still took quite a few conversations to get to the place that we are now. If I had to go back in time and tell my younger self who I would be, or what they had to do to feel better, I would just give them a hug and say that it would be okay.
I would tell my younger self that you don't have to hide who you are, that trying to keep a piece of yourself hidden away is not necessarily healthy.
I would say just don't be afraid to be who you are. There's lots of other amazing people out there, and the more that we just let our lights shine, the more that other people feel safe to do the same.
Just wait. Hold on. You're so young. There's so much time for it to get better, and it does get better. You just have to hang on.
You're not going to feel ostracized or out of place for forever. That you'll come back to yourself.
There are people doing wonderful and revolutionary work on our behalves, and those people are to be celebrated. They're the best people in the world. So to suggest we're going it alone is not at all true.
I'm the healthiest that I have ever been, because I'm not trying to shove myself into a role or a box that I don't fit in, or to live a life that just doesn't align with who and what I want to be.
Life's been good since coming out. I have a family, and everybody seems to be pretty accepting of my identity.
For the past 2 years, I'm the happiest I've ever been in my entire life.
I feel more myself, that there's not a piece missing anymore.
It's been freeing in a way. It's just nice to be myself, and I feel like I've come home to myself.
I would say my message to anyone ready to come out is that it gets better. It gets so much better. It doesn't get better all at once and not right away, but eventually a day will come that doesn't hurt as much as today does. Never allow yourself to be tricked into believing the lie that is despair, because you can overcome, and it does get better.
Find people who support you and love you for who you are. Don't make you question it. So I think it gets better.
Find your community. There's lots of community opportunities out there that support who you are. So don't be afraid to be who you are.
It gets better.
It gets better.
It gets so much better.
It gets better.
Hi there, my name is Barbara Cape, and I'm the president of SEIU-West, Service Employees International Union. We're here today to talk about if you've ever been bullied, if you've ever been excluded, if you have ever been made fun of. It does get better. SEIU-West sees you, we hear you, and we support you.